This tune was actually written back about 1920. I'm going to do the tune for you just the way it was written. Then I have a little thing that I do on this that most of the guys seem to get a kick out of. You know, it's a very strange thing. I never get a request for this thing from any of the women. It's always a man that asks for it. And you'll see why when we get into it, because I think we kind of put the girls through a little bit on this thing. The way they wrote the tune originally, it went like this. Whispering while you cuddle near me, I'm whispering so no one can hear me. Each little whisper seems to cheer me. You know that it's true, there's no one dear but you. Whispering why you'll never leave me. Whispering why you'll never grieve me. Just whisper and say that you believe me when I'm whispering that I love you. But like I said, they wrote that tune a long time ago. And this tune brings back a lot of memories for me. I'd like to see if I can bring back a few memories for some of you guys out there tonight. Do you remember how it used to be in the old days, fellas, if you were going to go out for an evening? You call your buddy, you say to him, what are you going to do tonight? He says, oh, I don't know, what are you going to do tonight? You say, oh, I don't know, what are you going to do tonight? You know, you go through the Marty bit. Well, finally, he might say to you, well, what do you say we go down the Palais Royal? We'll do a little fur trapping. That was the place, boy, the Palais Royal. Tuesday night was maid's night out. If you stood in front of the fireplace at the Palais Royal, you had the greatest hunting grounds this side of Africa. But you remember the girls that came down there, fellas? They always came in pairs. One doll and one dog. You'd be dancing around with some likely-looking prospect. You say, hey, baby, how about you and me later on? She says, well, you know, I wouldn't mind, but I've got a girlfriend with me. You say, that's great, I got a boyfriend with me. Where's your girlfriend? That's her over there by the post. Oh, jeez. Which one's the post? Boy, if that buddy took that girlfriend home, he was a buddy. But you know, it didn't always work out that way. Sometimes the guy that wound up with the dog did a little better because they're so grateful, you know. But tell me, fellas, do you ever tell you the truth about it? You know, you see him the next day, whether you meet him for lunch, or maybe you see him at the office, or maybe you phone him after work. But you always had to ask him, eh? How'd you make out last night? Well, boy, just once I wish one of my buddies had told me the truth, you know. Just once I wish one of them had said, nothing, man, she was looking for a ride home. But it was never like that, eh, fellas? No, sir, boy, nobody ever missed. You know the bit, you say to him, how'd you make out last night? He says, oh boy, you took the wrong one home. Man, this chick had her own car, she had her own apartment. She invited me up for a little taste. It was sweet, Dad, she was a swinger. I was there till 6 o'clock this morning. You blew it last night. Yeah, sure you did. That's why he's back at the Palais the next night fur trapping again. You take it from an old timer, you get one all that great, you don't shake it in one night. You hang on for a little bit. Not for too long, though. Like the man said, it gets to be like scratching a place that doesn't itch anymore. I don't know how you guys made out. I lived in the West End all my life. Every time I met a gal at the Palais, I'd say, you want to go home with me, baby? She'd say, okay. I said, where do you live? Scarborough. Boy, I'm talking about Scarborough when who had a car? The Queen Street Rattler, right to the end of the line. You remember those ones with the wooden seats and the coal stoves and the two conductors? There it is again, it never fails. Every time I do this bit, I get a little gal like that one right down there looking at me like I'm something out of the Ark. Well, let's face it, honey, you're not old enough to remember those streetcars, you're not old enough to be in here, so don't you tell anybody about it. Then, of course, you know, if you got her out to the end of the Queen car line, she didn't live there. Hell no. Stop 27, Kingston Road, that was it. If you got out there while the buses were still running, you were in good shape. If not, It was a long, cold walk. And boy, it was a hell of a lot longer and colder on the way back if nothing happened. I don't know, I kind of thought it was more fun when we were kids. I can remember when you could be a big shooter for a deuce. $2 for the whole night, you had it made. It didn't have to be the Pally. It could have been any one of the local spots. The old Balmy Beach Canoe Club, boy, that was a happy hunting ground. Or Fallingbrook before they burned it down. Oh, there are any number of places. If you lived in the West End, you went to places like the Saucy Sue or the Rendezvous or the Log Cabin. Then came places like Mazarik and the Sea Breeze. And don't forget old Masonic Temple, boy. There was a little trapping done up there on both sides. But you know, one place that kind of sticks in my mind was an old spot that was just about on the way out when we were on the way up as kids. It was just about finished. It was an old place called Ramona Gardens. Oh, Ramona Gardens. Bring your own doctor. I had a buddy met a girlfriend at Ramona Gardens. He was telling me about her. He said, this kid's got everything. I said, I wouldn't doubt it. Try penicillin. But it didn't matter, wherever you went. 35 cents to get in, a dime for checking, and you were swinging for the whole night. You could get a Mickey for 85 cents, and that was the good stuff. And if you wanted to be a real sport, you could take her out after the dance, head for the nearest white spot, you could buy a hamburger for a nickel. That's the way it was. $2 for the whole night. You try and do it now. You call a girl now, you say, you want to go dancing? She says, what kind of a nut have I got on the end of the phone? Here, let's go someplace and get bombed. You bring her into a place like this, it costs you a $1 before you know what you're drinking. He's laughing, eh? Count your money when you leave. I don't know, I kind of thought it was more fun the other. Then, of course, you know, if you did get her out to stop 27, you might get her up as far as the front door. You might even get her into the vestibule. Those vestibules. Never fails, every time I mention the vestibule, I know it's a woman that snickers. You know the bit, eh, girls? You're in the vestibule with them for an hour and a half, you walk out in the kitchen, your mother says, how come your knees are trembling? The vestibule. Wonder whatever happened to the vestibule. Now we have entrance halls. We have foyers. When I was a kid, they were vestibules. That's where they invented the game, button, button, here comes father. Oh, don't explain it to him, honey. If he doesn't know what I'm talking about, you got yourself a live one there. Which reminds me, girls, if he acts like a gentleman on the way home tonight, you know there could be something wrong with you, too. Yeah, the vestibule. You got her as far as the vestibule, you had your own version of whispering to do. You say a whisper. Keep it down low, your old man is right at the top of the stair. Whisper, 'cause baby, he's listening in and I'm sorry, but that guy's nowhere. Whisper, 'cause I've got a big secret that no one but you must share. Well, you know it's true, baby, I love just you and I'm trying to find out if you love me too, so whisper. Tell me that you want me to take you away from it all, whisper. The right words just once and I promise you we'll have a ball. Whisper, oh, what's that? Your husband gets home any moment at all. That's nice. Well, there's only one word I want to whisper to you. Good night. Well, now, thank you very, very much. You know, we appreciate that applause. As a matter of fact, there are two things that appreciate a warm hand. That's an entertainer and a cow. You got to explain that one to him, too, eh, honey? Yeah, you got a live one there. Yeah. Well, now we've got a little tune here that takes us back to the days of the English music halls. You know, every time I do a tune that has any English flavor to it, for some reason or other, it reminds me of the day I joined up. Now, I don't know why it should, but it does. I'll never forget that day as long as I live. There were 3 of us went down. It was me and the 2 MPs dragging me. We got down there in front of this sergeant. 4 of us standing there. He looked at the first guy. He said, what did you do in civilian life? The Guy says, I was a carpenter. He said, great, we'll put you in a construction gang. He said to the second fellow, what did you do in civilian life? The guy looked at him and he said, well, he said, machine gun squad. He looked at me, he said, what'd you do in civilian life? I said, I was an entertainer. He said, fine, we'll put you in the intelligence corps. He looked at the front. Okay, all right, let me update. He looked at the fourth fellow, he said, what'd you do in civilian life? And this little faggot looked at him and he said, I was a hairdresser. The sergeant said, what the hell, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. So they took us in for a physical examination. Boy, you never saw anything like it in your life. 20 guys standing stark naked in one room. I'll tell you, the guy that said that all men were born equal was never in one of those rooms. No officers, no NCOs, nothing but privates. There was a big marble slab over in a corner. We all went over and sat down. Sounded like people applauding. We all stood up. It sounded like a plumber's convention. But I finally got in. There I was, on the boat, heading over. And I had my place along with the rest of the fellows at the rail there. This little lieutenant walked up to me, he looked at me, he said, what's the matter, son, weak stomach? I said, weak? Hell, I'm throwing it as far as the next guy. He says, I don't seem to recognize you. Are you on my ship list? I said, I don't know, Lieutenant, but I'm going to tell you, you're way up there on mine. We finally got over to England. We got to London. Boy, what a swinging town that is. I'll tell you, I had many happy romances in London. There was Daphne, Penelope, Susan, Reggie. Well, it gets pretty bloody foggy in London, don't you know? But one of the tunes that we brought back from over there is one that I'm going to do for you right now. I'm going to do the first chorus. I want you to listen to it. Then I'm going to ask you to sing the second chorus with me. So just listen to the first one, see if you can get it together, and we'll get you to see if we can't sing the second one back to me. Are you all set? Sister Susie, sitting in the shoe shine shop. All day long she sits and shines. All day long she shines and sits. Sister Susie, sitting in the shoe shine shop. She sits and shines and shines and sits. Sits and shines and shines and sits. Sister Susie, sitting in the shoe shine shop. Y'all set? Okay, now let's try it and see how we make out with this one. Okay, let's see how we do. Sister Susie, sitting in the shoe shine shop. All day long she sits and shines. All day long she shines and sits. Sister Susie, sitting in the shoe shine shop. She sits and shines and shines and sits. Sits and shines and shines and sits. Sister Susie, sitting in the shoe shine shop. Charlie, there's a young lady over there by the door. Throw her out. Let's try it one more time. Sister Susie, sitting in the shoe shine shop. All day long she sits and shines. All day long she shines and sits. Sister Susie, sitting in the shoe shine shop. She sits and shines and shines and sits. Sits and shines and shines and sits. Sister Susie, sitting in the shoe shine shop. I'd like to dedicate these first couple of tunes to my mother-in-law. Grand old gal. I worship the ground that's coming to her. Any of you guys that have got mothers-in-law, you know what I'm talking about. One home the other night, she meets me right at the front door. You know, who needs her, but there she is right at the front door. Look at my wife in this dress. Anybody that came to the front door would think she was the cook. I said, not if they stayed for dinner, they wouldn't. I won't say my wife's a lousy cook, but every year the pygmies come from Africa to dip their darts. Takes her 10 minutes to make minute rice. Not really, not really. Shouldn't talk. You know, guys kid about their wives, but you really shouldn't kid about your wife. My wife's really a good kid. I call her Tapioca. She's ready in 3 minutes. She calls me Pudding. I'm finished in 5. I'll call her my little Snapdragon. She's lost most of her snap, and the rest of her is... Give you an idea of what I mean. I went home the other night. She says, what do you say we go out tonight and have a good time? I said, great. If you get home before I do, leave the light on. I was in a hurry to get to work this morning. Had a couple of things I had to do. I'm upstairs shaving. She decides to help me out. She hollers upstairs, I backed the car out of the garage for you, honey. I said, thanks a lot. I backed it in last night. Going home the other night, a cop stopped me. He says, you were speeding. I said, no, I wasn't. He said, yes, you were. I said, no, I wasn't. He said, yes, you were. My wife says, officer, don't argue with my husband when he's been drinking. Took the mother-in-law with us on a trip down south last year. Boy, what a mistake that was. But coming back, I wasn't watching what I was doing driving the car. I looked up to adjust the rear vision mirror. Guy stopped fast in front of him, and I piled into the back of his car. I didn't do a whole lot of damage, actually. I just kind of bumped him, but I hit my face on the steering wheel, and I got a pretty bad cut up here on my cheek. I had to have a little plastic surgery done, and of course the only place they could graft any skin was from way down here, and they grafted the skin from way down here to way up here. The scar doesn't show, but now every time my mother-in-law kisses me, boy, I laugh. Yes. Picture the scene. It's a YWCA. A couple of Salvation Army girls have been out banging the drum all day and saving souls. They're down at the YWCA having a shower to refresh themselves. One of them looks at the other one and says, Mabel, look at the size of your navel. The other one says, okay, tomorrow you carry the flag. Then there's the 2 Mexican boys on the hayride. One of them says, hey, Pedro, pass me the flashlight. I think I got my sister again. I like the story about the Queen reviewing the troops. She stopped in front of this one fellow. She said, what did you do in civilian life, young man? He said, I was a photographer, Your Majesty. She said, isn't that a coincidence? I have a brother-in-law who's a photographer. He said, that is a coincidence. I have a brother-in-law who's a queen. Yes. Have we got anybody here from out of town tonight? Any out-of-towners? Yeah? Where are you from, sir? Lancashire. Oh, good section, Lancashire. Very, very hospitable towns there. I mean, where else could you go? You walk into a bar, you sit down, fellow walks over, offers to buy you a drink. Didn't have a place to stay, takes you home, gives you a place to stay for the night. Next morning, gives you $20, help you along on your way. Very nice place, Lancashire. Didn't happen to me, it happened to my sister. The real reason I asked if there's anybody from out of town wasn't actually had anything to do with that at all. It was the fact that, well, you don't have to worry too much about it in a club like the Ascot, because this is a pretty well-run place. We get a lot of neighborhood people in here, good, solid type folks. But if you go downtown, that's what you really have to watch out for. They have these places downtown, these bee joints. They have these broads that hang around there, and they order colored water, and they charge you ridiculous prices for it. Like, I went into a club one night, I sat at the bar, I wasn't there 2 minutes, over she came. Hiya, big boy, you gonna buy me a drink? I said, well, I'm not Rockefeller, but I'll buy you a drink. How about a dance, Charlie? I said, well, I'm not Fred Astaire, but I'll dance with you. How about coming up to my apartment, buddy? Oh, something on Glen Ford, but I'll book your apartment with you. How about making some hot love, Charlie? I said, well, I'm not Cary Grant, but I'll make a little love. You know, what the hell, you don't like to turn down a good thing. You know the scene, eh? Next morning, how about $20, buddy? I said, well, I'm no gigolo, but I'll take it. Yeah, we have a pretty weird social life being in this business, working every night. I had a fella come up to me the other night. He said, Black, I think your wife's cheating on us. Strange goings on. I had a little gal come up to me one night. She says to me, you're going to take me home tonight. I said, honey, I can't take you home. I have to work till 1 o'clock. She said, I'll wait in the car. So I went out at 1 o'clock. There she was, waiting in the car. Well, you know, you don't turn down a good thing, so we went for a little drive out in the country. I keep something in the glove compartment for these contingencies. So I took this jug out and I was just pouring a little drink there into a plastic cup. I said, say when, baby? She said, right after this drink, baby. But I made one fatal mistake, boy. I forgot to lock the car door. All of a sudden, the door flew open. There's a big cop with a flashlight right in my face. What are you doing in there? Scared the hell out of me. I said, nothing, nothing. He said, here, hold the light and let a man in there. I don't know what I'm so happy about tonight. I got myself in a real jackpot. I went up to Fort Erie this afternoon. Little girl standing right in front of me, and boy, she was built. And when I say built, I mean built. You guys know what I'm talking about. Wow. Well, I watched her for the first 3 races. She won the first 3 races. So I couldn't help myself. I walked up to her and I said, hey, where'd you get your big tips? How the hell am I supposed to know she was hard of hearing? She nearly killed me. Well, we got a little sad story to tell you here, you know. Once I married a tattooed lady. It was on a summer's day. And tattooed on her body was a map of the USA. Now every night when she got sleeping good, I'd turn those covers and discover another neighborhood. Around her neck was Louisiana, and on her chest was Tennessee. Right across her back was old Hackensack in the state of New Jersey. And just below was old Kentucky. Through those hills I love to roam. But when I saw the moonlight shining on the Wabash, then I recognized my Indiana home. On her back was old Brazil, on her chest Bunker Hill, and just a bit below I saw old Mexico. Round her knee was Tennessee. That is where I long to be. Around her waist was Greece, and down the road a piece I saw the West Virginia sky. But just then I saw my wife, and so to save my life I let the rest of the world go by. Old Bill McCluskey was a husky, handsome, healthy lad. And McCluskey had a pretty little girl by the name of Pearl. But McCluskey, big and husky, he stuttered very bad. And when he wanted her to marry him, He told her brother Jim, he told him, you tell her because I stutter, because I stutter too much. Now you tell her because I stutter, and every time I start, I get in Dutch. Now she ought to know that I have a bungalow where we could raise a family, and it's such. You know, I'm thinking of her because I love her. But you'll have to tell her because I stutter too much. Well, now Ma told Pa, and Pa told Ma, and they decided to get him over there right away. So he hopped in a taxi cab right to her front door. But when he saw her family on the porch, he started into roar. He hollered, you tell her because I stutter, because I stutter too much. Now, you know, when I hear that parson say, will you honor, and obey? I'm afraid that I might answer, if I give me a piece of pie. When I'm in her parlor, I cough and I sputter and I stammer and I holler. My tongue and my tonsils seem to touch. And when I fool around her, I'm afraid that I might drown her. So you'll have to tell her because oh God. You know, the chances are I might never finish this bloody tune at all, you know, because I stutter too much. Thank you, opera lovers. Have you ever heard the story of how falsies got their name? I will tell you so you'll understand from whence those falsies came. It's no wonder that the upper decks of some broads that you see are counterfeit, and here's the way the tale was told to me. Sure, 2 little hunks of rubber fell from out the sky one day, and they landed on the chest of some flat-breasted broad, they say. And when that lady saw them sticking straight up in the air, she said, I think I'll leave them. Oh, they look so kosher there. So she covered them with sweaters so her boyfriends wouldn't know. She made mountains out of molehills until she hooked a schmo. But she had to call them falsies, 'cause it's against the law to advertise some merchandise you don't have.